Hi guys, so we're going to talk about subtractive sculpture today. Just to let you know, subtractive sculpture is when we have a block of something that's bigger and we start carving parts of it away to make it a little bit smaller. So first you need to start with your design. I'm going to give you a piece of paper that is the exact same size as the block that you'll be carving out of. So what I want you to do is I want you to take just a little bit off the edges. Leaving one side completely the same as it was. So I may decide to do something. I'm going to actually fill it in so that I know these are the parts that I am eliminating or I am cutting away. So maybe this, you can see I'm starting with the edge and I'm just taking a little bit off. So now I've got something like this. So you can see the parts I've shaded in are the parts that I'm eliminating. I've already started working on this guy, so I'm going to keep working on him. So here's my design. The first thing you're going to do is stick it on top of your block. Once you get your picture approved, you should be carving less than 20%, so you can see that I've got most of my blocks still remaining. I'm only carving out these spots here and that little spot down there to start with. So you're going to put it on top of your block, and you're just going to go over your lines by pressing with a pencil. A pencil that is blunt and not very sharp is going to work way better than a pencil that's super sharp. So you can see how I've got the lines and I've actually started carving. In the back of the room next to the painting tools, there are a bunch of trays. They're yellow and, they're orange and gray. So you can grab one of those. This one's mine. And the tools should be right behind me in the Xerox box back there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to carve parts of it away. So you can use either the bigger tool here or the smaller tool here, and you can see that there's multiple sides to work with. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tool, I'm going to line it up as best as I can, and I'm going to push it all the way down and through the floral foam. So now you can see that took that little bit off the bottom. I can come through and carve a little bit more. It's better to go slow with this part. I've had a couple of kids that have rushed through this part and they have had very small bits of foam left over to carve from. That makes it super challenging. So let me get this part done and I'll show you. All right, so there's my start that I've got there. Let's pretend for a second that I've got everything carved out that I want. So the next step that you're going to want to do is start to look at it. So when I look at it this way, I could see how this could actually become a face and a little part of a body based upon the grooves and stuff like that. I've only got two sides carved and I still have a couple of flat sides that I'll need to work on eventually. So let's say I do want to turn this into a face and I know I want the nose to stick out a little bit more. So I'm going to gently kind of press. I'm going to turn this into an animal because I love working with animals. I'm just going to go ahead and draw into the foam the part that I want sticking out. Now here's the part. We're used to drawing the part that we want to be there, but this time we're actually going to be working with the part we want to cut out. So I like to use some of the small little tools that are in there, but since I don't have them here with me, I'll just use my pencil. That's fine. Or you could even use your finger. And I'm going to start to carve around. Now maybe I decide I actually want the cheeks to stick out too, and so I'm just going to carve the sides and I'll have a little puffy part here. So you've got to really start to think about what you want to stick out. I'm eventually going to want these edges to be rounded too, and so what I like to do to start with is I like to use my finger kind of like a block of sandpaper. You'll notice I'm working on top of this because it does make a big mess, and this will help kind of keep that mess contained. So you can see just that little bit, and hopefully you can see how it's starting to get a little bit rounded. Looks a bit different than this side here. Work slow with this. Again, the kids that have rushed have been really disappointed really quickly because they just carved too much, and then you can't really glue it back on. It doesn't look the same. And think about it, those sculptors that were working in Italy with blocks of stone, they're not going to glue the stone back on. They're going to start with a whole new chunk when they're working there. So take your time, do a good job, but really you can plan out even with just a pencil, and using your fingers as tools is really great. The slower you go, especially once you have that initial carving done, I think the happier you'll be. But it's okay initially if you don't have any idea in mind. For cleanup, when I get to that point, I'm gonna take my piece of foam, I'm gonna put my piece of paper on top of it. You probably will wanna put your initials somewhere on the outside, probably on the bottom, and hopefully you've got a flat side for the bottom. You can take this over to the garbage can. Please do me a favor and make sure that you go directly on top of the garbage can instead of around it. So I'm actually gonna turn you around this way so you can see my garbage can. And so when I take it over, I'm gonna put it on top and I'm gonna shake it out there. So I'm actually putting it a little bit into the garbage can, but they're small enough that they should work. I hope you guys really love this. If you haven't seen, this is the guy that I was working on. So I just kind of made an imaginary creature. I wanted him to look a little bit like a bunch of different creatures put together. And I just took my time. I had no idea that that's what this was going to turn into when I started though. All right, have a good day and enjoy.